make it. All right, we'll get it going, and I will just keep letting people in as we go. First of all, thank you guys for jumping on a Monday night. I appreciate it. We figured this, and when I say we, I mean the board as well as the fundraising committee felt that with what we are trying to do with this year-end event, that this would be the best way to go about kind of educating everybody on what it is we want to do before we just send you everything in an email and then send you on your merry way. So first we're going to do a little bit of background. Let me actually pull up my presentation here real quick. Okay, so first we're going to go through and I'm going to give a little background on kind of how the Kachinas were founded, how we are funded. I know that if you are an elite parent, you just got a financial overview document. So some of this is going to sound familiar, but if you haven't read it yet, then you're going to get it firsthand from me, and hopefully I'll be able to explain everything properly. Then we'll go through the year-end event, what we're trying to do, what the expectations are. Then one of the more important parts of this call, we'll share with you what the call to action is that we're trying to get everybody mobilized behind. And then we have a couple other updates that are completely unrelated to the year-end event. We just figured while we had everybody together on one call, we would share a couple of those. So first I want to go through a little bit of an overview of how we are funded, because this is something that I think some people have a good grasp of it. Some people have heard of it, but don't really understand it. And some people may have absolutely no idea how we're funded, what the history is. So I wanted to make sure that we're all on level playing ground with that. So there's this thing called the Industry Growth Fund, and it's a collective initiative between the NHL Players Association, and all of the individual NHL clubs. The reason the IGF was formed was all of these entities realized that if we wanted to keep up as a sport with some of the other professional sports leagues, we had to grow and we had to get more fans. And if we could get more hockey players, we'd get more fans to buy tickets, and that would help kind of lift everybody up. So that was the business motivation for those groups to start this fund. The cool thing is they don't really care what type of hockey it is. It could be girls hockey, sled hockey, special hockey, street hockey in schools. They just want to see growth of the game. So if we go all the way back to like 2016, I think that was the year, it might have even been 15, but that was actually the first year that we as the Coyotes were granted money from the IGF specifically for girls hockey. So some of you might remember the very, very first like pilot version of Small Fries in 2017. That was one of those programs that was a beneficiary of the IGF or in its early days. And then we had our official first year of Small Fries in 2018. And then 2019 is when the Kachinas officially formed. And since that day that we started through now, our program has been subsidized by the Industry Growth Fund. Now, if you were here year one, for a few different reasons, it was a little less expensive, but one of the reasons was because we had less kids, which meant that the money we were receiving from the NHL stretched a lot further. Just so that you understand how this works. So this year we are recipients of $250,000 from the IGF. The Coyotes have to match 25% in order for us to receive this money. So the actual total, when you put all of that together, is that 312.5 number. that we get for the entire year. The nice thing is, this is a 2-year application that we put in. So this is year 1 of that application. Next year will be year 2, and I'll get to that more in a second. As you guys can probably imagine, the elite program is way more expensive than the development program as far as just overall costs. So when we look at how we allocate the IGF, we give 91% of it, and that's not just a random number. If you look at the total expenses for all of Kachina's programming, 91% of those expenses are the elite program. The rest of it is the development program. So that's how we split kind of where those funds go. So the elite program gets a significant amount, and then the development program gets that 9% to make up the difference. So what does this look like in the future, and why is fundraising important? This is something that, as I've been meeting with our fundraising committee, there's a feeling that, you know, we're trying to implement some different fundraising ideas. We're trying to put it all together, but we still want to make sure that everybody really understands why fundraising is going to be so important for us as a program moving forward. Because it's, as you know, fundraising takes time. It takes a little effort. And if we don't have everybody on board kind of working together, it's going to be challenging. So like I said, I know for a fact that we have that money again next season for the 23-24 season. So, you know, costs shouldn't really change too much, or prices shouldn't really change too much next season, because I know we've got that money. The question then becomes, okay, well, what do we do in the event that we don't get that money after the 23-24 season? And that's where we're at right now, strategically, as a board, as a fundraising committee, and as a program. The challenge for the IGF is it's designed to help programs and markets grow. We have gone from, some of you will, you know, maybe laugh at this, but if you remember, like, we were running Kachina's skills sessions at Arcadia back in 2018, 2019, just hoping to become a program someday. Now we're bigger than some of the boys programs in town. We're bigger than a lot of girls associations around the country. Like, we are pretty dang established. So that's where, as much as the guys at the IGF, the NHL, the NHLPA love what we've done, and they do, they share what we've done with other NHL clubs around the market. We are kind of like the marquee NHL girls program as far as what the IGF has been able to do. The problem is we've grown. This isn't really seed money anymore. And so how do they keep funding us if we're not really a startup? I don't think, this is just my opinion, don't quote me on this, because I truly don't know. I'm very hopeful that the league isn't just going to like cut us off and be like, all right, you get $0. But I don't know. I don't know if they're going to say, you guys are going to get 50, you're going to get 20, you're going to get 150. I have no idea. We are absolutely going to apply for grant money again. But it's a big question mark of what we're going to receive. So how does this affect you as parents? Well, all of the development families, this money helps offset your fees by $500. So if you're paying, I think it's $525 are your Kachina's fees. What you pay the Ice Dens and AZ Ice, that's totally independent, and that's up to them. But as far as what you pay in Kachina's development fees to us, it should be over $1,000. That helps. This money helps offset it. The elite program, is hopefully you guys read in the overview that I sent, depending on which team you are or which team you're on, it's anywhere from $1,600 to almost $2,000 that it helps offset your personal fees alone. So it's pretty significant. And the last thing any of us want is for that to suddenly go up overnight. So this is the visual that we had in the overview that we sent out to the elite families. Just as a representation. So our most expensive elite teams are supposed to be almost $8,000. And those, we were able through the IGF to get those prices down to like $5,500, $5,600, which we're really proud of. And we want to make sure we can continue to do that, because we recognize that unlike the boys programs, we have different travel barriers. It's just our reality. Hopefully one day we grow big enough to where we can continue what we've started this year through, Ryan's efforts and our coach's efforts, making sure we have more inter squad games going on. But we still have a ways to go. Okay, so that's kind of the history of why fundraising is going to be really important here in the next year, 2 years, 3 years, pretty much from here on out. Does anybody have any questions? Again, if you could type them in the chat, that would be helpful. I'll stop sharing for a second. Okay, I'll keep going then. If you have a question, just throw it in there and I'll get to it at some point when I see it. All right. So where does this tie in, or how does this tie into the year-end event? So the year-end event is going to be a super cool event that's going to bring together a bunch of different things. So it's going to be at Mullet Arena. It's going to be on April 16th at 2 p.m. And I recognize that player development camp ends on the 16th. That's why we did it later in the afternoon. Unfortunately, this was the only day we could get all of the stars to line up with our schedules, Mullet Arena schedule, and the Coyotes alumni schedules. So that's the date we've got. So this event is going to consist of 3 things. One, this is going to serve as our award ceremony. So for those of you who have been with us for a while, you might remember that we did our Kachinas Award Night at Gila River Arena during a Coyotes game in the past. It's just too hard to get everybody at Mullet Arena for one night for a Coyotes game, especially with how expensive tickets are, capacity issues, all that. So we are going to shift that over into this event. The second thing, and this is going to be some high entertainment value, I got to tell you, we're going to have a Coaches versus Coyotes alumni game. And I'm actually working on getting some former women's national team players to come down for that and be a part of that. So it won't be just the male pro players. It'll be some of the women's pro players as well, which I think will be great. And then the last piece is the fundraiser that we've been talking about. So for the award ceremony, just to kind of help you wrap your head around what this is going to look like and why it's going to be super fun and cool for the kids. So we are actually going to bring out every single team onto the ice and recognize their accomplishments for the season. We have not really been able to execute a large scale event like this yet as a program where literally everybody is there. Even with the award night at Gila River Arena, there still were some elements of it that were a little disjointed because obviously the Coyotes game was the main event. This is like all Kachinas. So we're going to have everybody out, recognize their accomplishments, what they were able to do as a team this year. We're going to take our first all association photo. We've had some that have had a lot of girls. We want to make sure everybody's in it because one, it's just going to be cool to see and for everybody to have, but two, there's strength in numbers. So if we can really visually show the NHL and the NHLPA the growth that we've had over the last several years, I think it'll go a long way as we look to apply for funding in future years. Throughout the event, we're going to do the same awards that we've done in years past. So most improved player, best teammate, most valuable player. We're going to do those throughout the night or throughout the afternoon. So that's kind of going to be, a reason for everybody to want to stay and participate and be able to see those award winners from their teams get acknowledged. So that'll be the award side of things. The Coaches versus alumni game. It's like I said, you're not going to find anything more entertaining to do on your Sunday. You're just not. The alumni are super excited about this. They really were kind of the ones who created this idea of bringing this all together. So I'm very thankful for that. they've already committed to donating $10,000 to be the title sponsors so that we don't have to worry about any costs of the event. They're essentially going to take care of that with their sponsorship. They want us to just be able to focus on fundraising for our program. So the alumni have been awesome, and I'm really thankful for that. The game is going to be 2 halves. So we'll, like I said, kind of integrate the award ceremonies into those 2 halves. We're still working on the formal run of show, but it'll all run smoothly and it'll be great. There's also going to be a skills competition that I'll explain more once we get to the fundraising piece of things. I already covered women's players coming. Yeah, so we're good there. All right, so the fundraiser. We are projecting that if everybody does their part, and I'll explain this in a minute, that we can raise a significant amount of money to help start chipping away at that future pool of funds that we ultimately need to replace as we start to get less funding from the NHL and the PA. We wanted to go with something big that everybody could focus on with just this, rather than doing a bunch of small scale fundraisers. Because that's, I think, been one of the challenges for the fundraising committee is like, well, do we do a bake sale? Do we do a Chipotle night? Do we do this? And all of those only bring in like a couple $100. This, we want to bring in like tens of thousands of dollars. So there will be a ticket sale component. Each ticket for the event is going to be $10 each, super affordable. Every player will get in free. We are asking that parents, you guys will pay your $10 to come and be there. If you have any sponsors or anybody that you think would be willing to do a sponsorship with this, please let me know, and we'd love to get them involved. Some of you might remember that Dutch Bros opening that we were posting about. They were giving us a percentage of every sale that they had on opening day. They ended up, I think, raising like $1,500, and then their corporate office matched it for $3,000. So they're going to be one of our sponsors for the event, which is super cool. So if you have any sponsors or anyone interested, please let us know. One thing that I do want to be very, very clear on, and this is where if you're a 16U parent or a 19U parent, you might have, I don't know, emotions about this. This money is for the future. This money is to help offset what we are going to lose down the line. So this is not something that is going to get taken off your fees at the end of this season. This is, how do we help support the future of the program? How do we help make this sustainable for years to come? And the goal is to do this every year, keep growing it. And, you know, that's how we'll kind of get this going in perpetuity. But if you're a 19U parent and your kid's about to graduate, you could absolutely have the thought of, well, how does this affect me? My kid's done after this year. Our hope and our ask is this IGF money that we've had gave your daughters a place to play over the last 4 seasons. So I guess if you're part of that older group, we would just ask that you think of it as a pay it forward and participate in that way. So as far as our ask of you, let me actually look at the chat real quick. So we are a nonprofit. We're currently under the Arizona Coyotes Foundation. So if they want to sponsor us, it would just go through the foundation. And then the other question, are we going to have flyers, print to distribute? Yeah, we're working on getting all that together. We actually have all of the registration links that I'll get to in a second ready to go. But we are working on having both digital promotion to be able to put out there on social media, whatever, as well as flyers. So hopefully we can get that in the next week or two back. It's a little slow getting our graphics team together, but we are working on getting that out so you guys can easily have something to send. And what I think I'll probably do is also create like an email template almost like we did with teachers when you guys were sending for the elite program. For those of you who sent a letter to your teachers, we'll work on putting together a template so it's pretty easy for you or your daughters to email aunts, uncles, cousins, whoever. Good questions. So what we need from people, we're asking every family sells 10 tickets, just 10 tickets. It's $100 worth of tickets. We are asking our coaches to also participate and sell 5 tickets. This is kind of the fun part of getting the coaches out on the ice, because we do have a lot of coaches. They have to sell their 5 tickets and their team has to send or sell their 10 tickets per player in order for them to be eligible to play. So we just had a call right before this with all of our coaches to explain how this is going to work. They seem excited. But yeah, so we are asking that everybody contributes and participates in that way. We understand that some of you maybe don't have a ton of friends and family here in Arizona that would be able to come. So maybe they don't want to buy tickets. We are going to have a general donation link as well, so that they can just donate $10 or however much they want to donate to that link. Here is the only thing that's unfortunate. The way that this has been all set up through Ticketmaster and for that general donation link, it was just going to be way too much to create 270 something individualized links for every single player. So instead we did 16 for each of our teams. The downside of that is we'll be able to track total tickets that your team sold. What we won't be able to track in a clean, easy, just pull the data way is how many you specifically sold. So we're working on a solution for that, but I'm going to be just totally honest. It might be a little clunky. It might be something where, you know, each week we update a Google sheet with first name, last name of the person who purchased, as well as how many tickets they purchased. No, like, you know, other personal data or anything like that. And if you know that Aunt Susan bought 3 tickets, you would go in and write your name and claim those tickets. It's not perfect. We're going to do our best with the technology we've got to work with year 1, and I'm sure year 2 we'll find a better way to do it. But that's what we've got to work with this year. So we'll make sure that all of that is super clear to people once we get going on this. Let me look at the questions. Yes. Yeah, so Jade, everything for this event, these are independent links. So we will be able to know exactly how much money is brought in for this event, and it will be earmarked for the Kachinas. The Kachinas is a different GL code on the back end. So when the money comes in, for any revenue that comes in for the foundation or for Kachinas, it gets coded to the appropriate GL. And we would do the exact same with all the revenue that comes in for this event. If we get donations as opposed to ticket sales, do they count toward? Yes. Yep. So if you, let's say you raise or you get people to donate $100 to the general link, that counts as your 10 tickets. It's either 10 tickets or $100 to the general donation, or a combination of both. Yep. So Marissa, that was that same question. That's a good idea, Leslie. We could definitely, I'm open to suggestions on how to track. Oh, Marissa, will we be selling Kachina's merch at the event? We just had a conversation about this with the Kachinas, or with the fundraising committee. I think we're down to do it. We just want to make sure that it all gets purchased. So what I think we'll do is be kind of conservative with the quantities. We're going to send out a survey asking everybody, like, what type of items they would be interested in buying. And then we're going to be conservative with the numbers. And then if for whatever reason, not for whatever reason, if like everybody's super jazzed about sweatshirts that we have out there and we run out of sweatshirts, we'll take online orders and then we'll do a second batch order. That was the solution we came up with earlier today. Yeah, Jade, so that'll be separate from like this specific event, but yes, we can do advertising on Kachina's jerseys. We don't have like a specific dollar amount for that because it's all over the board what different youth programs ask. But if you have someone in mind, I think we would absolutely chat with them. I can find out, Marissa, about the garage sale. We can definitely do garage sale stuff. I think we sold a lot of our previous inventory, but yeah, we can do garage sale with what we've got left. Any other questions? You guys are hitting me fast and furious. Okay, cool. So just to build off of the question about the flyers and stuff. So I'm going to show you real quick what the link is going to look like. Actually, yep, I got it. Okay, so the nice thing is it's a super legit link. It's a Ticketmaster link. They, just like when you go to a Coyotes game, it's going to go straight to your Ticketmaster account. No pay, your kids aren't going to be out there slinging paper tickets. It's all going to be digital. And they'll be able to buy through here. They will be able to, just if you want to tell people that they can. So if you have someone who, for whatever reason, they want to like double check that they're donating or buying tickets from the right link, I would hope that this is pretty obvious that it says the team up top, but they will have the ability to go and look at the team roster just to confirm that they're actually buying it on or in support of your particular player. The other thing, this is what the general link is going to look like. We've got to get the graphics updated, so this is not final, but it'll be super basic and then similar concept. So when they choose whatever amount they want to donate, the payment info will be here, and then they'll be able to choose which team they want this to get like credited to. So we're hoping, I want to be able to send this all out together. So I should have this link all ready to go, hopefully by tomorrow, possibly Wednesday. All of the individual team ticket links are ready to rock, but we'll get all of this sent out together in one comprehensive email. So everybody knows what to send, where to send it, and all those good things. All right, let me get back here. Okay, so like I said, if everybody does their part and sells their 10 tickets, we can raise over 30 grand, which is in fairness, when you look at the grand scheme of the 250, or actually more than that, the $312,000 or whatever it is. It doesn't maybe seem like a lot, but if we keep doing this year over year, keep getting the event bigger and bigger, get more sponsorships every year, we can really help make a difference and help try to keep your guys' costs down moving forward in the future. One thing I do want to clarify, just because I do still get some confusion and questions about this, this is not Skating for Layton, totally different fund that money goes to. That goes to the Layton Accardo Memorial Fund. That is specifically used for our financial assistance families. And we use it a little bit with some of our other programs, just from a like reducing barriers to entry to get more girls in. That is completely separate than this. This is for the Kachinas program as a whole. Every single family in the program benefits from this as we move forward into the future with the program. I got a couple more questions. Will I need volunteers day of? Absolutely. We have a call with Mullet Arena on Wednesday. I think I might have mentioned that earlier, to walk through all of those logistics. This is going to be like a legit show. We're going to have a host. We're going to have a DJ. We're going to have the board, the video board being operated. It's going to be quite the production. We don't want this to feel like an event in a high school gym. We want this to be something special that people have fun at, that they want to come back to next year. So we're gonna make it big, and it's gonna be great. Good question, Marissa, about the deadline to sell tickets. We don't have one formally yet. I would maybe say, I don't think there's going to be a deadline to sell tickets. I guess to hit your 10 tickets per player for your coach to be eligible. I don't know. We might do it like 3-4 days ahead of time, but I don't want people to not sell tickets right before the event, because people tend to wait till the last minute to buy. Leslie, we'll talk about that at our next practice. And then Vanessa, can we donate our C's candy profits? If you want, you sure could. Skating for Layton was advertised at Coyotes games. Any chance they will advertise this as well? Heck yeah. The only got to figure out the way to do that, just because the tickets are going to be, actually, no, I have a way to do that. Yes, is the answer. I'll talk to our production team and see if we can get them pushing that. Might be a little tough to get airtime because we're trying to win a campaign and get an arena, but definitely see what we can do. These are good questions, guys. Thank you. Will there be a public family skate after the event? Ooh, that's a great question. I don't know the answer. I'll have to ask Mullet if we can do that. Yeah, so it's still, it's, and I know that's a tough one, Rick, but we're at basically like 10 per girl. So the hope is that they can get out there and independently, as siblings, go sell 10 tickets to different people. We really played around with the number, like what's the appropriate number for everybody to sell, and we're really hoping that everybody can pull together $100 from people. Can we get girls to sell tickets at a game? Ooh, I'll have to find out about that. We haven't even been doing like in-person. We haven't even been doing in-person 50-50s, but I'll see. We do already have an MC or a host and a DJ lined up. But thanks for the offer, Leslie. I appreciate it. So, before I forget, so there will be prizes. So the top 3 teams who raise the most money, sell the most tickets, will be able to get a prize. We're working on exactly what those are going to be right now, sourcing those. Everybody that sells their 10 tickets, the kids will all get a prize if they sell their 10 tickets. It might be something like a keychain. It'll be something smaller, but everybody will get something for hitting their number. And then the way that kids are eligible for the skills competition, which will happen during the intermission of the on-ice game going on between the coaches and the alumni, is the team that sells the most tickets. Those kids will their names will be thrown in a hat. Maybe we'll do like a virtual draw like they do with the draft. We're going to pick, I think, 5 to 6 kids to participate in that from the winning team. One will be a goalie. We'll make sure that at least one goalie's out there. And that's how the skills competition kids will be selected. We're just for the skills competition, it's just going to be fastest skater. And then I think we're going to do like a shootout competition with the Kachinas goalie and with the alumni goalie. So that'll be hopefully fun and incentivize people to want to, or incentivize the kids to want to sell tickets. And then we've got some prizes for the winners of the skills competition. Can you buy tickets day of at the arena? You won't be able to buy there, like there's not going to be a box office open. You have to buy through one of these links and get a digital ticket. There will be no paper tickets, no nothing. Everything will be online. Okay. Any more questions about the actual event? And these have been very helpful questions. So thank you guys. I will say, going back to the volunteer question, as is kind of usually the case, team managers, if you are at the event, we will lean on you for mostly just helping us like stage the winners. So, you know, we'll make sure that you know who the winners are going to be. So when it's time for the most improved players to get brought down to the tunnel, we'll have you help get them to our runners who are going to be in charge of getting the kids onto the bench so we can celebrate them, things like that. So if you're one of the team managers and you're not going to be there, we'll designate a different parent volunteer from your team. Concessions will be open, so there will be food and drinks and all that. This is also, for those of you who are avid women's hockey watchers, it is also the day of the World Championship game for the IIHF. Hopefully Team USA is in it. And we're trying to make sure we've got that game on the TVs, and we might even be able to get it up on the board during a couple times during the event, just so we can check in. So if anyone's disappointed about it being at the same time, we're trying to make sure we are still supporting the national teams. Okay. I'm going to move on just to be respectful of everyone's time. So these are just kind of small updates for the older families. This is a little bit more relevant for you, but I'll explain just for all of our families what player development camp is if you don't know. So player development camp is coming up. Our state player development camp is coming up April 14th through 16th. Like I said, it's going to end before this event starts on the 16th. Essentially, this is USA Hockey's system of developing players, but also kind of getting to see what the top talent is throughout the country. So when you go to player development camp, you get a camp experience. From there, a couple kids from each age group will get selected to move on to the district camp. And then from there, kids will get selected to go on potentially to national camp. There are college coaches that are coaching this. It's a great, opportunity for kids to be seen, to meet girls from around the country, to be able to see kind of what's out there. So it's a great opportunity to potentially move on. Even if you don't move on, and this is something that I think we ran into a lot last year, was, well, I already know that so-and-so is going to get selected as the 06 defenseman. So what's the point in me going? We really worked hard. And when I say we, I mean, the newly formed, it's called the Arizona Female Hockey Alliance. It's us, as in the Kachinas, GCU, and ASU. And we've all been working together on this camp. In the past, it hasn't been that way. Now we have like a cohesive group that's working together to bring this to life. We were able to get a budget approved from the state board to actually bring some external coaches in. So we already have one coach who coaches at a D3 college who's going to come out. We're working on getting one more. But there definitely will be at least one D3 coach from out of state, as well as our ACHA coaches here locally with ASU and GCU. So even if you don't move on, it's still a great opportunity to get evaluated, to get looked at by some college coaches, and to hopefully have a great experience. The point I wanted to bring up, there are some people that have looked at the registration. Unfortunately, the way it's built, there is a cap on the boys registrations. There is not a cap on the number of girls who can register. So please, 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 even if you see something that says like no spots available or sold out, it's not sold out. You can absolutely still go in and register. So the kids, good question. And I'm going to send this out in our newsletter. That's probably going out tomorrow. The age groups that are eligible for this year are 06s through 2010s. So they'll be the ones that are able to participate. And when I send this out tomorrow, it'll have the link as well, and goalies and players. And that's another question I've gotten about goalies. There will be goalie coaches. From what I've been told, there will be goalie coaches throughout the entire camp, not just on the one night that is like goalie specific. So that's player development camp. And then the other reminder that I want to actually, yeah, that's a good point. Someone just put this privately in the chat. There are no preconceived notions, especially this was another reason why we wanted to bring an out-of-state coach who doesn't know any of the girls really. It's all about who plays the best during those 3 days. So I want people to get, that idea out of their heads that, well, so-and-so went last year, so there's no chance I'm going to make it. We've had surprises throughout the years. We've seen it firsthand, that it's not a guarantee who's going to go and who's not going to go. So just keep that in mind. And for those of you who have signed up, thank you for doing so. Okay, so moving on to Kachina's night. I realize that this is spring break for some, so you might not all be there, but just a reminder that at the Coyotes game, we are going to have Kachina's girls hockey night as part of Gender Equality Month. Like I said, this is not going to be our awards ceremony. This is not going to be, it'll be super fun and it's going to be a great way to honor the girls, but it's not, if you are traveling for spring break, if you're doing something fun, don't panic and feel like you're missing anything, but we'd love to get everybody out there who can be here to see a game and be recognized in front of the big crowd. So that was a lot of information. I know we've pretty much filled the time, but are there any other questions before we wrap? And I love the participation, you guys. We've got 67 people on here. That's awesome. Is there going to be mites on ice? That's a great question. I think we are trying to execute it. I'll follow up on that. I haven't been super involved in the specific planning. That's been more of our Coyotes events team, but it's a good question. I'll ask. I don't have any information right now. Like we have it, but as far as pre-tryout camp is concerned, this is going to all come out in the newsletter tomorrow, but pre-tryout camp's going to be April 22nd through May 2nd. There's going to be 10 sessions per age group. We don't have the registration open quite yet. Sports Engine did an update of their financial processor. So we're going through the joyful process of having to rebuild most of our registrations. So we'll get that out as soon as possible. So yeah. Awesome. All right. If you have any other questions, do me a favor. If you can send them over to your manager, just so we can have one point of contact rather than a couple hundred, that would be very helpful. But really appreciate you guys coming on. I hope you're excited. We want to knock this thing out of the park, be able to get tons of sponsors in years to come, and continue to make this as affordable as we possibly can. And I think we can do it if we all work together. So thank you guys so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Monday, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care, guys.